As a Latino, I've never been more embarrassed and more disappointed in the Latin community for even voting or thinking of voting for Trump. Voting against your own self-interest is counterproductive. It's insane to me. Like, y'all don't make no sense. What's not clicking? And let's be very serious. Latinos voted for Trump because they want to be as close to whiteness as possible. It's because they are anti-black. It's because of the internalized racism. It's because of the not even internalized, it's for the outward racism. That's really mainly what it was. And let's not forget the misogyny of it all. Let's not forget that, because one thing a Latina woman is gonna do is gonna put her man, her son, and any male figure in the Latin community up on a pedestal with ease. And that's exactly what the Latino men thrive on. The women always putting them up on a pedestal. And that's really the sad part about it, because there is no reason why they should have been voting for Trump at all. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed today, and I'm just so disappointed.
It seems everybody is freaking out after finding out that President Trump won the elections, especially the Latino and the Hispanics. We are seeing a lot of them coming on social media and laying bare their concerns, because one major issue and one campaign issue that Donald Trump campaigned on was the fact that he is going to carry out the largest mass deportation that has ever happened in American history. And this has left Latinos and Hispanics quite perplexed, and they are worried for their lives. There are even those who voted for him and are worried whether his deportation plan is going to favor them, or it's just going to be a blanket deportation without having serious considerations on the citizenship status of everybody. So I came across a compilation of videos that I want to play for you here so that you get to understand the level of crisis that these Latinos are going through. Let's watch this, then come back and share our thoughts together.
Mario and Mireya Alvarez found the American dream in Las Vegas.
Would you like some coffee?
They came to the U.S. from Mexico and Guatemala in the 80s. With his job in a supermarket and her job in a casino, they bought a house and raised 3 children. Now they wonder if their kids and grandkids will inherit that dream. Is it still possible to do that for the younger generation?
That's my main concern right now. What's going to happen to our new generation? Nowadays, they're not even able to move out of their houses anymore because everything is so expensive.
Life wasn't expensive as it is right now.
We first met Mario back in February, when he was seriously considering a vote for Donald Trump. He was undecided, with previous votes for George W. Bush, Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Biden. At the last minute, he broke for Kamala Harris. But today, he's not upset about the results.
I'm kind of like more happy than upset. Why? Because Donald Trump is going to help the country with the economy.
The whole household is happy. Mireya and their 29-year-old son, Mario Jr., did vote for Trump.
Initially, I would say I did not agree with him. And then I started seeing that he was not afraid to speak his mind. And I noticed that he was not scared to say what he felt, regardless of what people would say. And I think I respect that about him.
So you liked his kind of brashness, his personality?
Yeah, I would say yes.
They're not alone. Across the country, Donald Trump made huge inroads with Latino voters. According to NBC exit polls, 55% of Latino men nationwide voted for Trump, a 19-point jump from 2020. Among Latina women like Mireya, an 8-point gain. And while Vice President Harris won a slight majority of the Latino vote overall, Trump increased his support 14 points from the last election. The top issue among Latino voters, like it is for the Alvarez family, the economy, with immigration a distant fourth. Mario and Mireya both crossed the border illegally as teenagers, but became citizens under President Ronald Reagan's amnesty. They see themselves as different from migrants crossing the border today. In what way do you think they're different?
The people that are coming here are the criminals, you know? The ones that did something bad in their country, they're running away from their law.
Despite having close family members who are undocumented,
migrant invasion,
they don't believe they'll end up in Trump's crosshairs. When you hear Trump promise mass deportations, do you worry about them?
Yes and no, because the ones that I know, they're doing good. They're not breaking any laws.
I believe he's going to start deporting all the bad people.
Trump won over the Alvarez family and many like them. Whether the economy improves and who exactly he chooses to deport may determine if he keeps them.
My family is Latino, and a lot of them are immigrants. But at the end of the day, we're American.
You know, it's pretty crazy how quickly it's backfiring for Latinos who voted for Trump. This man believes that as long as you're family-oriented, you shouldn't get deported. As long as you're doing them hard-working jobs, you shouldn't get deported. I don't think it was understood that Trump and his crew don't give a fuck. If you're illegal, you're gone. It was already made clear by Trump's ICE director when he was asked about kids being separated from, during deportation. He said families can be deported together. Just because you're here doesn't mean your family member gets to stay. Oh, but you don't like it? Okay, all of y'all can go. That's what's happening.
If they let in hundreds of thousands of people who already have criminal records, if they voted them create some mass deportation, at what point what is rounded up and all of them are able to work armed to do the job that Americans that would it be fair? Of course, they need to make sure that they don't throw away, they don't kick out, they don't deport people that are family oriented.
So this is clearly going to have a bigger effect than what they thought. But to the ones who are like, well, I don't like my aunt so-and-so, my Theo so-and-so, obviously this ain't for you. But anyway, how do y'all feel about this?
54% of you were Latino men. Let me talk about that for a little bit, because there's a lot to talk about within this conversation. But as someone who grew up in a Dominican family, someone who understands the dynamics of how men and women tend to deal with each other in Latino families, someone who understands the huge role that machismo and misogyny play in Latino families. Let's talk about that for a minute, because it's important. Because you have this cultural legacy of Latino men. And I'm not going to say every single Latino man, absolutely not, right? I'm not going to say that because we all know that's not true. But given the high percentage, we can't ignore this percentage, okay? We can't ignore that. Given such a high percentage of you that voted the way that you did, and understanding the dynamic of men and women in Latino families, this is important and necessary to say. There is a cultural legacy of men in Latino community who look down on women, who are traditionally misogynistic, and it is normalized and it is accepted by a lot of people. You're used to women being in a subservient position. You don't like to see women in power, and especially not Black women, because of the anti-Blackness that you refuse to deal with within your own community and even within your own families, within your own households. So there's quite a bit there to unpack that people don't like to talk about. And given the reality of that dynamic, I know that there's a lot of Latina women who were basically told by their husbands or their partners, you're voting for Trump because I'm voting for Trump, and this is my house, and in this house, this is who we support. And I can only imagine the couples that are still beefing now because of the women that chose not to vote the way that their husbands did. That's just a fact. And anybody who understands the dynamic of Latino families, traditional Latino families, who really follow that tradition of misogyny, because there's a lot of families who have broken away from that, right? But let's deal with facts here, because these things do happen, and they still happen till this very day. And if you're honest, you know that I'm telling the truth. And then you have this group of Latinos. You're sedity, you're uppity. You get to this country, and a lot of you, okay, you got to this country by certain means. You married the right person. They had money. You saw an opportunity, you took it. You got here. You found yourself You found yourself in a world where white is right, and that in order for you to be respected and accepted and succeed in certain spaces, you need to assimilate. You need to assimilate. And there's a lot of you who won't even deal with your own self-hatred first of your own blackness, which caused you to even move the way that you did in the first place. So everything you do is about proximity to whiteness, being accepted in white spaces, because you still don't accept your own self and your own blackness. And you forget our immigrant stories. You forget what our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts had to do to survive, to thrive in this country, and even survive and make a living back home. You get here, you get uppity, and you do everything that you can to distance yourself from those other people that Trump is talking about. So you turned a blind eye. You convince yourself that he's not talking about you because you're not those kind of people. He's talking about those other Latinos that are nothing like you, that you don't associate with, that are beneath you. But amongst them, the hypocrisy of you and the shame be upon you for you not being able to see your grandmother, your mother, your aunts, your uncles in their faces. Because I guarantee you that it's there. So you got what you wanted, you got what you voted for. Amen. And things will unfold the way that they will unfold. Yahweh bless.
I think that the top three people that delivered Trump his victory were white women and white men, which we all kind of expected, but Hispanic men, Latino men, like, I would have never in a million years expected that, especially when we think about our own history in this country. When we look at the deportation of millions of Mexicans in the 1930s with the Mexican repatriation, and a lot of them being Mexican Americans, knowing what happened to the braceros, the manual laborers who came to the U.S. to better the U.S.'s economy, the agriculture after World War II, how they were sanitized, and that influenced parts of the Holocaust. Just the historical racism, this amplified hatred towards our people, towards people that look like us, brown people. You would think that that would be enough to not allow you, your morality, to put someone in place that literally compromises the very existence of our people. A lot of those Latino men who voted for Trump knew what happened to their own community, a lot of which weren't immigrants, if we want to talk about how this is not about immigration, but illegal immigration. If they knew about those parts of history, I think they would stand against someone like Trump. But because we don't know that or care to know that, we are so much closer to that happening again, to history repeating itself again. And it is just so heartbreaking that the reason why it might happen again isn't because of these unhinged white people. It's because of our own people. Think about that for a second. Our own people are the reason why there will be so much pain and suffering among our community. Like, that is gross. I guess if there's a silver lining, amigos, is that I'm just feeling so motivated and hungry to educate our people on dark chapters in history that we aren't aware of, a lot of which I still might not be aware of, but we're going to learn as we go, because it's so important that we are aware of what happened, aware of what's happening, so that this does not happen in another 4 years, that our communities aren't constantly under threat and danger and anxiety and fear because our very own people aren't aware of the capabilities of electing someone who is anti-immigration and honestly anti-brown, anti-anything but white. I mean, I tell you, every day I feel like I'm fighting for my life on this app. Like, I get on this app, I open my inbox, and I feel like I'm fighting for my life. I just got called uneducated, biased, ignorant, and extremely corrupt. Oh, what am I corrupting? I wish I was, because then I'd be a fucking billionaire like that unsanitized orange. But yet I'm broke as shit. So... Oh, this is so good. In the same breath, this person who blocked me said, you share the same delusions with other liberals. You realize that you just described the person that you'll bend over for. I can't. This one today just made me giggle. The word Latino feels so horrible when it comes from the mouth of an American, even if he is a Latino in America. So you just confirmed and agree that I am a Latino first in America. I'm fighting. I'm fighting on me. Also, this comment comes from the guy, if y'all remember yesterday, who said I was ignorant and that citizens couldn't be deported because they're American. And I was like, no, they can't. And I want this to be a reminder for all the trolls who want to come to my videos that, like, fuck around, find out. You know what I mean? Like, I can't control what people do, but you can't control what you post. So if you're putting it out there for everyone to see, you have opened the doors for others to chime in. So don't come up here and try and gaslight me, make me feel bad for your wrongdoings. You are a grown-ass man, sir. Sir. I can't believe I have to say this about social media. But anyway, fuck around, find out. That is a motto I live by, okay? So if you are new and you're my kind of people, welcome. And if you're looking to troll, again, I'm not Michelle Obama. They go low, we go high. Hell no, I am going low. I'm going so low, the devil's above me, okay? Just put that out there. But anyway, have a good weekend, Emmys. I'm having way too much fun because I've had way too much coffee.
Okay, peeps. So, Donald Trump made some appointments to his administration this morning. And this lunatic right here, his name is Tom Homan. He has made Tom Homan the border czar. This man is a lunatic. I remember briefly seeing a clip of him testifying in front of Congress, and I believe it was over Project 2025, and he was being questioned by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She was asking him certain questions about how they would implement this deportation, this mass deportation thing that they want to do. This man was cold-hearted. This man was racist. This man was unapologetic. And I'm telling you, when Donald Trump said mass deportations would be bloody, he meant what he said when he put this man in charge today. In addition to that, he has made Stephen Miller. We all know Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller was in charge of the immigration policies that were put into place during Trump's last administration, during his last presidency. Remember the separating the kids from the parents at the border? Yeah. Well, Stephen Miller is going to be Donald Trump's chief of staff, or he's going to be over immigration policy again for this administration. And he and Stephen Miller will be working together on this mass deportation that is a part of Trump's policies. Baby, I'm sad for these people, but these people voted for this. We tried to tell them. I spoke about it over and over and over again that Donald Trump was planning to deport 10 million people. And these people are running around talking about, oh, he's talking about the criminals. No, baby, there aren't that many criminals here in the United States that are not documented. So once they gather those up, they coming for you. This is why we keep talking about the denaturalization citizenship program that Stephen Miller put out on Twitter. He said that the program was going to be turbocharged because they did it in the first presidency. But this time, it's going to be turbocharged. So after they round out the so-called criminals, the gang members, whoever they deem as part of the problematic crew, they coming after the rest of you, even if you've obtained citizenship. So they're going to take away your citizenship, and then they are going to deport you. And they're not just going to deport you. They're going to go after your grandmothers, your grandfathers, your cousins, your nieces, your nephews, your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your co-workers. Yeah, look into the denaturalization citizenship program. And then look into the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Because while Donald Trump was on the campaign trail, he said this.
To expedite removal of the Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Can you imagine? Those were the old days when they had tough politicians. I have to go back that long. Think of that, 1798. Oh, it's a powerful act. You couldn't pass something like that today. Today we're politically correct. Today people kill and they end up getting out on bail in 2 minutes. No, this is a little different act. The Aliens Enemy Act, 1798, to target and dismantle every migrant criminal network operating on American soil. 100%. And in honor of the great people of Aurora, Colorado, we will call this Operation Aurora, because they were the first to suffer with this group of thugs. And if they come back into our country after removal, it's an automatic 10 years in jail with no possibility of parole. No possibility. Not that we want to do it. But by the way, not that we want to do it. We all have big hearts, but you know, it's not sustainable. We're not going to have a country. It's not sustainable. You see what's going on with the cities again. New York has a $3 billion bill. I always heard New York is low on funds. A $3 billion bill, and the federal government's not going to pick it up. And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
In order to implement this act, he doesn't need to go through Congress. This was something that was put into place back in 1798. And Donald Trump can use this to deport immigrants of a foreign nation that they consider is a hostile nation. Yeah, they can detain, they can jail, and they can deport without any act of Congress. And so that's why you got the military meeting behind closed doors to see if there's anything they can do to stop Donald Trump. Now, the military might be able to refuse to enact his orders, but knowing Donald Trump, he probably got a militia off on the side who's willing and ready to step up to get it done. We tried to tell you.
Take a look at this guy and remember his face. That is Tom Homan, former New York City police officer, former Border Patrol agent, and ICE chief, and all around raging racist. Baby, if Tom Homan had it his way, he would have burst into the homes of every single immigrant, snatched them by the hair, and tossed them back across the border. That is the kind of man that he is. And while we were all sound asleep, snug as bugs in the rugs on Sunday night, Trump just appointed him border czar. He said, and I quote, "It's not going to be a massive sweep of neighborhoods. It's not going to be massive raids. It's going to be a targeted enforcement operation." Now, if you're a bit confused as to what that means or what that might look like, think Jewish roundup of the Holocaust, but on a smaller scale. They are threatening to remove over 90% of immigrants. And he is flat out daring any Democratic governor to get in his way. You Latino and Hispanic Trump voters sat up and overwhelmingly voted against your people, against their right. The least you can do is help them pack.
Listen, I'm going to try and explain this in a way for you that you might understand. And I'm going to include visual aids as well, because I heard it really helps children retain information. So here we go. And pay attention, I'm going to quiz you at the end. This is Mr. Frog. And Mr. Frog is a huge fan of snakes. So he wears this dumbass hat all the time, so that everybody knows that he's a big fan of snakes. In fact, he's such a big fan of snakes that he's made it his entire personality. So much so that he decorated his room, his whole house, everything with snakes, so that way everybody can know that he is the biggest fan of snakes ever. Now, Mr. Frog's friends are pretty scared and confused because, well, they know that snakes are predators, no pun intended. But this doesn't bother Mr. Frog, because last night on TV, his favorite snake clearly said that he loves frogs. And his friends are like, no, you're wrong. They don't love frogs. They love to eat frogs. You're crazy. You're getting mixed up. Fake news! It can't be possible. Mr. Frog is not gonna believe his silly old friend. Maybe they eat frogs like you, he says. But I'm a huge fan of snakes, so they won't eat me. Okay. So then Mr. Frog hops his way along home. And on his way home, he ran into none other than his favorite Mr. Snake. Mr. Frog takes the time to let Mr. Snake know that he's a huge fan of his and has always supported his career and doesn't care what all the other frogs say, that he's still gonna always support you no matter what you say about the frog community. Now, how do we think Mr. Snake is going to thank Mr. Frog for his support? I will give you 1 second to think about it. If your guess was he ate Mr. Frog, you would be correct. Now, I know some of you are scratching your heads and thinking, well, why would he eat Mr. Frog? Mr. Frog literally just told him that he's a huge fan and was supporting him throughout his entire career. And the simple explanation is this: snakes love to eat frogs. And underneath that stupid, dumbass, ugly-ass, fucking red hat, guess what? Still a frog. You can wear this fuck-ass hat all you want, but underneath it, you're gonna look just like everyone else. So now Mr. Frog is inside the belly of Mr. Snake. But don't worry. He still wears his hat. The fucking end, bitch. Okay, kids, now what did we learn? Yes! documented fraud probably tastes the same as an undocumented frog. So why would the snakes stop to ask the difference? The brain, guys. Let's use them.
Now, it is a serious meltdown that is going on right now because most Latinos think Trump is coming for them. And there is a sense in which some of them are right, because like the one that has been featured, the one family that voted for Trump and is now fearing that while they are documented, there are those that are members of their family who are not documented. Trump may come for them because he said, if you are not documented, if you got into the country legally, be prepared to go back to your country of origin. And then if you want to come back, you have to use the legal means of accessing United States through the border. And I guess many of them may end up not liking what they see. But why is it that you elect somebody on the basis of one thing without considering everything that he brought? Because it was like a buffet of policies and campaign promises that he came with. Trump said he's going to work on the economy. He said he's going to look at the issue of immigration. And that was one of the major policies that he pushed around during his campaign. And I think he has got all the rights to follow up on that campaign promise, because that is why he got the mandate. That is why he won the Senate, he won the House, and even won the popular vote and the Electoral College vote. So it is upon him to see how best he can handle this issue. But going by the kind of appointments he's making, everybody is freaking out, especially the deep state in Washington. They're looking at the Attorney General pick and everybody is talking and thinking that Trump has come back for retribution and seeking revenge against his political enemies. And I think this does not really look like his way of doing things, because he has been president before. He did not go after many whom he said he was going to go after. But then I think maybe, just maybe, since he was subjected through a lawfare that was very unfair to him, he may think and try getting back to those who really did some bad things to him. However, on the issue of immigration, it is a fear that is not misplaced. There are a lot of things that are going on, and I think having had many undocumented immigrants get into the United States, it is upon those who voted for him to see what they wanted. Because as exit polls showed, 54% of Latino men voted for Trump, telling you that they knew that what Trump was selling to them was something that is necessary. And I think if he follows through to what he said and what he promised people, could be, it is going to be rough for some, but to others, it is going to be what they wanted to hear. This is quite a cocktail of issues that I think needs a serious consideration. Following Donald Trump's re-election in 2024, many Latinos have expressed renewed fears due to campaign policies reminiscent of his first term, alongside new proposals perceived as hostile. Key concerns include immigration-related measures such as increased deportations and renewed emphasis on building the United States-Mexico border wall, signaling a return to hardline immigration enforcement. Trump's rhetoric around crime, often linking it to immigrants, has also amplified anxieties about profiling and targeting. Additionally, Trump's 2024 platform promises economic initiatives like cutting corporate taxes and restrictions on Chinese land ownership, but skepticisms linger about benefits reaching working class Latino communities. The potential rollback of protections for programs like DACA, affecting hundreds of thousands of young immigrants, exacerbates these concerns. So there are those who are really concerned about this issue. And since the policy has not been laid out quite openly and people have not seen his steps that he's taking currently, it is quite evident that they must be very worried. They don't know how this deportation plan is going to take place. They don't know who is going to be deported. They don't know how aggressive the administration is going to be towards this menace. But I think Trump said it from the onset. It is going to be a massive, massive deportation. However, we have seen numerous governors saying that they are going to oppose any attempt to use local police enforcement agencies to help Trump's administration in carrying out these deportations. It is quite an issue that is very, very emotive. Tell me down in the comment section what you think about this. And if you're watching us for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and also share. Thank you, and may the good Lord bless you. Goodbye.